right, so talking about getting and handling offers, let's set you up for that success with strategic handling of these offers. So much fun. So what happens? This first step is getting the initial offer. This is important because you have to make sure that you gather all the paperwork necessary to make the offer with the listing party. I want to quickly go over the actual paperwork first. So this is what your offer to purchase looks like. Is it completely filled out? Do you have the buyer's names on there, the purchase price, their mortgage info? Again, that note section is not for a letter to the seller on how much the buyer loves the house. I've seen that before. It is about specifics, with tenants, without tenants, pending inspection, things like that. And then your fair housing doc, and you want to make sure that that is always, always, always signed. You have your agency disclosure. Do you know who you represent? Are you representing the seller as a broker's agent? Are you representing the buyer as a buyer's agent? Are you a dual agent? Are you representing the seller as a seller's agent if it's your listing? Make sure you have your agency disclosure filled out. Lead paint as well is also very important. And my favorite is the buyer questionnaire, because this paper is super useful when it comes to dealing with co-ops. This is always good to have everyone you get an offer from fill out, but when it comes to co-ops, this is absolutely a necessity because you need to know the financials of the buyer, because that is one of the major things, even more than price, when it comes to co-ops. Make sure you have your pre-approval and or proof of funds. So here's an example of a pre-approval from Freedom Mortgage and just an example of a bank statement. So when you're saying that you have proof of funds, right, you want to make your offer realistic and strong. If you're sending random messed up screenshots, that's not an example of proof of funds. What you see here is an actual statement from the person's bank. That is an example of proof of funds. Okay? All right, so strengths of your offers: high down payments, good credit, good income, no mortgage contingency, cash deals. Weaknesses: you have low down payments, seller concessions, contingencies, random pre-approvals from unknown sources, right? These are all the examples of strengths and weaknesses of offers in general. Opportunities for you is to do a no appraisal contingency or a no inspection or an inspection for informational purposes only. I'm going to get into that a little bit more in a minute. And then threats to your offer could be something like gifts, a lot of gifts from random sources. They're getting a gift of 10,000 from here, 20,000 from there, 50,000 from here. All these random gifts. Their money is not all in the bank. They have low down payments along with sellers' concessions and, all kinds of things. It doesn't mean that stuff can't happen, right? It doesn't mean a deal can't happen with these specific threats, but it just makes it more difficult. And then you have selling contingency is another one. So let's talk about the initial offer, okay? We're going to dive deep into each part. So the initial offer should be your complete package. You should be requesting to present directly to the seller via conference call whenever you can. Brooklyn MLS allows for this, okay? Like Staten Island, One Key, they have that offer acknowledgement form, but Brooklyn MLS does allow you to request a conference call with the seller so that you can present your offer directly. During the conference call, you should know your buyer, right? You need to make sure that when you are presenting this offer, that you do not go into the, oh my God, they love their family, they love it so much, and it's just great, and they really, really want this house. No. This is the offer. This is what we're presenting. This is the down payment. This is the buyer's credit score. You could be confident because they've been at their job for the last 10 years. You know, they have a solid pre-approval from a bank, you know, whatever it is, you're giving them the facts to let them know your offer is strong. That's the reason behind that. Now, in the event that you cannot present directly, like for, you know, places like Cyber, One Key, things like that, or you're just not into presenting your offer and you're giving the other agent the ability to do that for you, make sure when you present your offer to the other agent that you need to present it just the same way you want it presented to the seller. So you're almost using the agent like a puppet to go back to the seller and tell them exactly what you want them to hear, right? So if you sound unsure about whether your buyer's, you know, funds are going to be there, or if the pre-approval is not that great, then you're giving them the ability to go back to the seller with that same attitude. So you have to be confident and you have to make sure that your offer is presented in a strong way. So if you want the seller to know that your buyer has a great credit score, make sure you mention, hey, my buyer's credit score is 805. They've had their job for the last 10 years. They've made over $100,000 consistently for the past 5 years. Whatever it is, even if they're not buying a co-op, right? Sometimes, you know, people think that this is only for co-ops, but it's going to give the other person the peace of mind that the deal is going to go through. That's being called cautiously optimistic, right? Because things happen all the time, no matter what. That is the world of real estate. Always mention that you are looking forward to the seller's response so that they understand, hey, we're waiting for you to get back to us. Never let it go more than 24 hours without following up on your offer. So if you give an offer today and it's 10:30 in the morning, call back 10:30 tomorrow morning and say, hey, just wanted to follow up on the offer that we gave yesterday at 10:30 a.m. Right? Don't let it linger. You know, sometimes people come to me and like, oh yeah, well, I gave an offer like 4 days ago and, you know, I don't even know what's going on with it. Oh my God. That makes me want to fall off the chair when people say things like that to me. Follow up on your offer. I know there's a lot of different situations and maybe they're going to do a final and best in another day. Whatever it is, I get that, but you should be following up with the other side on your offer every 24 hours until you get a response. Okay? When making your initial offer, you should follow the 3 to 7% rule, which means that most listings sell within 3 to 7%. So if somebody's, you know, if a lot of times buyers say, well, where should I start? You want to go no more than 7% off of the ask price. Now, I'm going to show you in a little bit the difference between, you know, using that's general, or you can actually go into the MLS and see for that area what the percentage, the ratio of list to sell is, okay? And then you can say, actually, well, for this area, and this is one way you can get your buyer's offer up, which I'm going to mention again, is that you say, hey, listings in this particular area are only selling at 2% off of the list price, which means that if you give an offer at 7% off or 10% off, your offer is most likely not going to be accepted. Okay. So again, if you're offering more than 7% off the asking price, most likely the seller will not take it seriously and it will not get accepted. After you get that counter offer, depending on how the counter offer came in, will determine how you're going to proceed. There's a couple of strategies. So again, you can try that 3 to 7% rule. I'm going to skip the first one for a second. Always go back to that 3% rule. If you went in at 7% off, right, because you're trying to get the best deal, the buyer's trying to get the best deal, right? That's what they think. Then great. Start at 7% off, but whatever the counter is, again, consider that 3 to 7% and say, okay, well, now we're going to go closer to that 3% or at the 3% off asking price for your counter back. The other strategy is to meet in the middle. So let's say that your seller is at, the asking price is 600. Your buyer came in at 560. The seller came back at 580. So you can say, as the buyer, you can say, you know what? Okay, my initial offer was 560. Seller came back at 580. How about, and you say this, you actually say these words when you're presenting the offer to either the seller or to the other agent, because again, remember, you want the seller to hear these words. Well, let's just meet in the middle so that it's fair for everyone. Let's go to 570. I'm willing to meet in the middle, because then it sounds fair, right? Again, it's a strategy. Doesn't mean it's always going to work, but it is a strategy. So, okay, let's meet in the middle. All right. And if you're presenting it to the other agent, sometimes those agents will use your words, right? A lot of times people don't even know what they're doing. They just make things up as they go along. And the other agent, sometimes they don't even have a clue. So it's best to use them, to use your words to the seller. Okay.